Jez, what does 250 games mean to you?
I haven't really reflected on it too much. It's probably something I'll do more so towards the end of my career or after I've finished. But it is a lot of games. I've had an interesting sort of journey, starting at the Giants for a lot of my first years, and then coming down here and really settling in now. It's been great. So I've sort of, to be honest, looked at it just as another game. It's an important one for the club and the team. So we're going over there. And it's going to be business as usual. Excited to have the family in the stands, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, so there are a few loved ones going over to Perth still?
Yeah, there will be, yeah. There's a few mates going over, the families, immediate families going over, so that'll be good. And a lot of cousins and stuff are over there anyway, so I always try and catch up with them once a year when we're over there, so that'd be nice as well. But haven't really looked too far past, playing some good football this week and coming home with the result.
Chris, how do you assess Jeremy's career both overall and then also at Geelong?
He's been crucial for us. So 250, hopefully he'll get to the point where he's played at least half of his footy at Geelong, but he's just been so important for us and really exciting for all our supporters in our footy club, but for his teammates as well. There's been a few times over the last decade or so when players have come in, but few have had the impact on our excitement levels the way Jeremy has. And if I go way back, I remember when he first started at GWS, we might have played a practice game or an early season game against GWS, and one of our seasoned veterans, I won't name him, but he played on Jeremy that day, and he came off and he said, I don't know if you know about this guy, but anything you can do to get him to the Cats. And we were like, yeah, I think everyone knows about him, mate. There's no chance of that ever happening. And so when it did, everyone was sort of justifiably excited. Those things go to show, you should never rule out the 1 in a million possibility.
And on the flip side of that, Jez, how special have the Cats been to you?
Yeah, they've been awesome for me, coming down in what was a tough time for everyone. That COVID period was sort of interesting at the start, but felt really at home straight away. I think that's important. Being back close to the family is always good, but yeah, it's like, the family away from family when you're inside the club, and it's always been so warm and welcoming for me and the family, and it's nice to be settled in down here just on the outskirts of Geelong. But it's been it's been a really good 4 years, and I'm looking forward. I can't wait for what's to come.
What would 16-year-old Jeremy from Dartmoor think of what 31-year-old Jeremy Cameron's achieved?
Yeah, it's a good question. Back then, as a 16-year-old, I probably didn't even think, I just enjoyed playing footy and having fun, to be honest. I didn't even think there was a pathway to get out of Dartmoor to go and make it, to the big time. So I loved my football back then, reflecting on that as a 16-year-old. Yeah, I never thought I'd get to where I am today, but, you don't do that alone. I think that's the important thing. You never reach these milestones alone. It's your family, your friends, like your coaching staff over the years, over a long period of time, that helps you get to this stage, I guess, in your career and life in general. So, it's been a good journey, like I mentioned off the top.
It appears you've never lost that sense of fun too for the most part of your career. Obviously, you talk about how tough the COVID year was, but you've played your footy with just that sense of like being a 15-year-old running around on a ground in Western Victoria.
Yeah, that's how I've always sort of played the game. I really enjoy the game of football. And being out there on the weekends, that's the pinnacle for me. I just love being around the teammates and celebrating success and playing good football at the same time. We have a lot of guys in saying that bring excitement to our side, and within the forward line, it's a good place to play your football, and we try and bring that as a team. It's enjoyment's a big factor of that, and you always go through ups and downs in your career, throughout your career, but I always try and enjoy it the whole way through, regardless of how well you're going.
You've spoken about how difficult that decision was, deciding between GWS, Geelong, Collingwood as well. Could you ever imagine it pan out like this for the grand final and success along the way?
When I made the decision, I've mentioned it before, it was tough at that stage, but I made the decision knowing that I want to win a grand final. It wasn't just to relocate closer to home. I was coming down here, wanting to win a grand final and several if you can. So that was always in the back of my mind. But it was tough at the time. But as soon as I made the decision, and you meet everyone around the club, you meet you're out there in the community and whatnot. I felt a real sense of being home pretty much straight away. So that always helps. But hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it does. When Jeremy was making that decision, Chris, I mean, how confident were you that he was going to join the Cats? I'm sure you would have been pretty nervous.
Yeah, certainly not overconfident. And it is true that in a lot of those situations, the odds are against you. You can't assume anything, and they're always big moves. Even I think when the move makes perfect sense in our mind, there are often other issues that the players have got to deal with, and we really respect the ones that do take the chance to move clubs, because Jeremy couldn't have possibly known exactly who we were and how we went about it. There's a little bit of a leap of faith there, and that's why we're so driven to make sure we deliver on the things that we say, at least in terms of sort of how we go about it. You can't guarantee the on-field performance, but we were pretty confident that we'd get that part improving if we added Jeremy to our list.
Jez, now that Tom's made his decision, how excited are you to hopefully see him back in the side in a couple of weeks and help him go out with a bang?
Yeah, for sure. You probably saw him out there today. He's working really hard behind the scenes, and I think that's a credit to him. It's been a wonderful career, hasn't it? What Tom's been able to do over a really long period of time, and even coming to the club and learning off Tom. Like I was sort of 4 years ago, what was I, 27, 28, I've played a bit of football, but there's still so much to learn, and to learn from Tom's been awesome. So, and then, behind the scenes, internally he's working really hard in there to make sure that he gives himself every chance possible. So that's exciting for the group and important for the group to see.
Do you think you've got his longevity?
I don't know. What do you reckon, Scotty?
I do, but I'm an optimist.
Hopefully everyone, I sort of mentioned it a few times. I'm really enjoying my football, and I think that's the most important thing. I really enjoy coming to the club every day and working with the boys to get better each and every week. The pre-seasons are slightly longer, getting slightly longer, I feel, but the actual love for the game and playing is what drives me. So, everyone hopes to play for as long as Tom has.
We've asked you about Shannon Neal's evolution for Jeremy. He's had a run at it over the last month, so the game is draw. What have you seen, I suppose, over that month that probably taken him from where he was to where he is now, and how important he's actually become?
Yeah, he's grown a lot, Shannon. He's a big figure to have out there on the field, and I really like what he brings to the team. He can mark the ball. We see that at training, we're starting to see that in games. But even when he's not marking the ball, he's bringing the ball to ground, making a contest for the other forwards and bringing his teammates into the game. So that's an important role for us, and he'll continue to develop really quickly over the next few years and long into the future. So it's an exciting part for the club.
Chris spoke a couple of weeks ago about if you're trying to do a ladder predictor, you'd probably go slightly insane. I'm paraphrasing a bit, Chris, but you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Are you one of those blokes that does a little bit of that looking ahead, or do you just worry about what's in front of you?
No, I don't really look too far ahead at all.
Freo we're playing this week.
Yeah. Mitch Duncan quite often messages me just to make sure I know what time the game is, because I've got that slightly wrong a couple of times. But I've never looked too far ahead. I think you can get a little bit too excited and ahead of yourself if you do skip ahead too far. So I don't really want to use any cliches, but just looking forward to the game this weekend, and whatever the next few games bring. But it is a tight competition, so they're all important.
Chris, just on that pursuit of Jez, I mean, how far back did it stretch back, and were you very hands-on in trying to get him over to Geelong?
Oh, you could probably answer that a little bit. I mean, in terms of the strategy, I am hands-on. In terms of the execution, I tend to come into the process a little bit later on, when it looks like. And again, I think it's been better understood now that the players and the management groups, I I would say more diligent than they were, you know, a decade ago in terms of doing their research, making sure that they know, you know, what they're in for. And part of that process is getting a chance generally to speak with the key people at clubs. And I'm always willing to do that if players are interested in our club. But I must admit there was a bit of an extra twinge, I guess, when the idea of Jeremy started to become a little bit more real. Because as I said, the odds of getting one of the, you know, truly elite players in the competition are generally pretty low. But at the same time, you don't want to sort of overreach, and because there's always an equation here that has to make sense for your club. It's never at all costs, but if ever there was that situation, it was probably Jeremy. So yeah, it was exciting.
Just looking at it, Chris, have you been able to make a call on Sam De Koning yet, or are you going to give him a chance to get on the plane?
No, we won't take him. We'll just he's going pretty well, but we think that he's very, very likely to play next week with a good preparation. So we're just going to take the bird in the hand there.
Gary Rowan as well. Do you expect him to?
He's fine. Trained really well. Well, the last couple of weeks really went through the process, but he's been looking good, and so he'll be on the plane as well.
And just Tom Stewart was wearing a non-contact cap by the looks. Any issues there?
No, it's a fashion thing for Tom. He's left his headband at home, I think. No, he's fine. Is that true?
I think it is, yeah.
So do we take it to the bank that Gary will play, Chris?
Yeah.
Is it as simple as De Koning out, Rowan in, or?
No, it's never as simple as that with us. We've got another 50 scenarios to work through. Oh, look, even now, I was definitive, Dan. I didn't mean to be as definitive. Likely is what I'd say.
Fremantle, one of the best clearance teams in the comp at the minute. How do you go about stopping that?
Well, a bit of thought will go into it. We really respect what they can do in that part of the ground. They've, you know, look, I think they've got a really clear method, and they've executed it really well. If they get it all their own way in that respect, they become hard to beat. So their personnel's elite. Got some good young midfielders in there who are pretty dynamic. You know, Fyfe's still playing good footy who complements them well, and then two elite ruckmen. So that's a part of the game we've got to put a bit of thought into. But as always with us, we tend to prioritise sort of balancing our game rather than throwing all our eggs in one basket at the expense of one, you know, the way we've got to play, but two, sort of giving up too much to stop their strength and forgetting about us.
Sorry, Mitch Duncan.
Yeah, fine as well.
Yeah, so he'll play.
Yeah. Do you want me to ask? Do you want me to name the team? Or? We go through this every week.
It was probably disrespectful. Probably
No,
Mitch earlier.
Mitch, yeah. But look, we've got a little bit of the old cliche good problem with selection at the moment. We've got good availability. De Koning going out is annoying for us, but other than that, we've got some guys coming back and available into what we think is a pretty strong team. So we're just going to have to think through that a little bit more.
Have you seen Sean Manners' improvement? Obviously, was made to earn his spot in the side, but has really flourished since he's come back.
Yeah, well, he didn't do too much wrong, to be honest, early in the season. It was more the selection squeeze that I spoke of earlier. But he's going really well. He's going to be hard to push out of the team, I imagine. So, yeah, he's bided his time, not just this year, but over the course of his career. He well and truly deserves the success he's having.